everyone, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this is the Bible Reloaded, and if you're wondering, wow, this is a movie review, why is the timestamp so short? Because we got another DMCA strike, we're dealing with that right now. No, it wasn't from the Cristiano brothers this time, surprisingly enough. This one comes to us from Pure Flix, kind of. It's through their YouTube network, it's because we did that trailer review of God's Not Dead 2. Yeah, we're dealing with that right now. But anyway...
Can you even DMCA trailers?
I guess.
I don't think you can. Especially not for review purposes, you cunts. But anyways, yeah, we'll take care of that. Shouldn't be long. I can't imagine that this goes on very long. So I guess they're at strike one.
Yeah. So today we're on the people who also are on strike one, and that's Cristiano Brothers. As we said before, we're doing all their movies. This one's a little bit earlier than Time Changer, which was our last review. This one comes to us from 1998, which is 4 years prior. This one stars the impeccable David A.R. White, who you know of Hey Scotty, Jesus Man fame. Also, actually, he's one of the founders of Pure Flix, so he's behind this DMCA also. Hi, David. Thanks. Today we're looking at, what the fuck's it called? End of Harvest? End of Harvest is what it's called.
End of the Harvest.
And I didn't realize until I watched this movie. Okay, this movie, by the way, it's like 52 minutes long.
It's like a short film. It's barely a movie.
Yeah, it's pretty much Rich Cristiano, same guy who wrote Time Changer, wrote this one. He wanted to write The Rapture is Coming apocalypse speech, but he thought, people won't just watch that. I'll write a bullshit filler half an hour before the speech, and then they'll think it's a movie. Anyway, here's that not movie.
And aren't you guys glad you decided to click on this video? It's a shot of a wheat field on the world's first camcorder. Hey Jake, I'm only 14. What's a camcorder? I'm glad you asked, internet person. A camcorder is the thing that the pioneers used to capture the souls of the red man on film.
It looks like someone fingered my VHS player before trying to watch this.
And I'm no farmer, but I'm pretty confident that we've created machines to do that job for you, old man. Maybe this guy is just super conservative, and he's like, I ain't never using one of those gosh darn devil machines. I got me a stick for that there job.
I like that in the last episode we established that Rich Cristiano doesn't understand how computers or the internet work, and in this episode we get to establish he doesn't understand how farming works either. What do you understand, Rich Cristiano? Because it certainly isn't screenwriting.
That field's so big, and that man is so old, and that stick is so medium-sized.
It's okay, he has a scythe instead of a sickle, so he's a Grim Reaper type, not a communist type. Oh no, it's alright, it was a dream sequence, had by Hey Scotty, Jesus Man himself, David A.R. White. Good for him. I wonder if that dream was wet.
So he's waking up from a nightmare about an old guy harvesting his field in the least efficient way ever. David A.R. White is nothing if not a stickler for efficiency.
Right after that scene, they stop the movie. There had been some credits thrown throughout, because, you know, it's the beginning of the movie. But the movie stops just to show this. Rich must have been super proud of this movie to stop the opening scene just to let everyone know he made it. I'd just like to let you know, as much as we criticize this movie, Rich is super proud of it. Look at this title graphic, goddammit. It's exquisite. Look at that font. The subtle gradient. Bear in mind, this movie wasn't made in 1980. This was the best they could do in 1998. David A.R. White is just sitting in his college dorm. Wait, college dorm? Okay, David, you didn't look garbage in 1998, but let's be real.
Did you know he was born in 1970?
Yeah.
That makes him 28 during the filming of this.
And 28-year-olds could go to college, but they're not living in the dorm.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're not even allowed to stay in the dorms, I don't think. They're like, oh no, you are an adult man. You're not allowed to have the freshman girls around you.
So anyway, his friends come in and convince him to go with them to a debate on the existence of God.
So apparently they do these late-night backroom informal debates on the existence of God in a room that they just put aside. And you could tell that this guy is an atheist because he not only grew a mustache, but he also doesn't know how to sit in chairs. Every Christian knows that atheists have a hard time figuring out furniture.
So people in the meeting are making fun of the guy running it, and one of the people says God should come out and just show himself like a man. Of course, reasonably, this guy retorts, come on guys, God is invisible.
After defending God with weak apologetics, Todd quickly transforms into Raper Todd. No, seriously, it looks like he's gonna rape that guy without a second thought. So as Todd gets asked, if you can't see God, how do you know he exists? He folds. David A.R. White, being the good friend that he is, quietly answers under his breath, you can't see the emotions of love and you can't see the wind, but you know they exist. Actually, David, we can see both. One happens in the brain, and the other happens when you open your stupid fucking face and just flap your fucking lips with your hair and your denim shirt, you bastard.
I don't know what you're talking about. I thought that was a slam dunk. AR got me on that one.
So the guys walk out of the school disappointed in Todd, and the friend who would obviously be the Chandler if this was a more successful and well-written title says, "These philosophy jerks think they're so brilliant. Yes, shitty Chandler. People being skeptical of your bullshit are the ones who are the cunts, not you."
They think that David A.R. White's character should lead the meeting next time, but David says he doesn't want to talk about God to people who are just going to rip his arguments apart. Well, David, if you're so sure your arguments are going to get ripped apart, maybe you have shit arguments.
So they begin discussing ways in which they could convince the philosophy guys on the existence of God, and I'm not shitting you. The best idea they come up with is literally, you could always tell them you know when the world is going to end, and shitty Chandler says it's a great idea. This is the writing equivalent of masturbating into your own mouth, Rich Cristiano.
It turns out that David's character found a paper in the library sometime in the last year, I guess, talking about when the end of the world's gonna be, as far as the Bible, what it says or whatever. So the other friends, Shitty Chandler and the other one, they're like, hey, show us what it is, why don't you talk about it? David A.R. White says he has better things to do, though, and frankly, it's true. That dude has 2 middle names. So Garbage Chandler decides to go looking for the paper in the school library. For any of our fans under 15, a library is like paper Google you can walk through.
Cunt Chandler decides to take action against the philosophy group and goes to the world's most monochromatic library. He then finds this book, which is entirely blank on the inside. And this would normally be an issue, but we all know that this fuck can barely read anyways. After all, he did read this script and say, "Oh, definitely, I'd love to work on that film." So the next day, he goes to the philosophy club, which you can tell is the philosophy club because they have a sign on the door that says exactly that. He then walks inside and asks, "Is this the philosophy club where all the atheists hang out?" Okay, Garbage Chandler, here's the fucking deal. You read the sign. You know what this place is. Also, we don't want this guy on our team. You can have his beige vest wearing ass. Still in the philosophy club, they proceed to argue about the topic of the world ending. But all I'm thinking about is that these fucks are in their mid-30s at best. I mean, Shitty Chandler looks like a slightly better-looking Steve Buscemi.
So potentially bi-curious Chandler says he has an idea for the next debate. When the Bible says the world will end, the philosophy students ask if he's serious, and he says, "What, is it too heavy for you?" No, Scott, you're just a fucking idiot. When the world will end is not a philosophical question. The diet right of Chandler's then goes to tell David A.R. White and their other friend Jess about what he did. David is pissed off because he thinks that non-Christians will find the contents of the paper too controversial. He responds by pretty much telling them to fuck off and that the paper is proof of when the world will end. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited to be let down by this reveal.
Shortly after that, the atheist group decides to put posters up, and I wanted to take this time to expose you kids to the horrors of a pre-Photoshop society, where all we had was some yellow paper and some wacky fonts. Then there's a 45-second sequence of this mustachioed cunt putting up posters for The Thing. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that they show 6 different shots of the poster.
So the Jason Todd of Chandler's goes back to his dorm, and David follows him to give him some advice, which does make sense, seeing he's the 30-year-old living in the dorms. He tells him that he's just afraid all the philosophy guys will do is tear him and his arguments apart. Oh, you mean like a debate? So Matthew Perry, in any role other than Chandler, is playing pool with a friend, and he talks about how his paper is just going to destroy those philosophy fucks, and it's going to hurt them so bad they're going to have to be held back a grade. You can tell Rich Cristiano didn't pay much attention in college, since he's still referring to students as being in grades. The joke was originally going to be he didn't go to college, but it turns out Rich Cristiano did go to college, which blew my fucking mind.
Was it like Bible Grace College?
It was
Actually, he's a born again, so it probably was a normal one.
It had a religious name, but from what I could tell, it was just like a normal liberal arts college. It wasn't like crazy.
Wait, it's a liberal arts. Don't you tell me he went to school for filmmaking.
I didn't look specifically, but that school does have an arts.
Oh my god, yeah. It didn't work. It didn't take it all.
So I guess while he's playing pool, one of the philosophy students overhears what he says. I say students incredulously because this dude looks like he's fucking your mom right now.
After this guy overhears midlife crisis Chandler in the pool hall talk about the debate, he goes to warn the douche that seems to be in charge of it. As it happens, the douchebag is into uggos. But more importantly, it's obvious that Rich Cristiano is trying to frame him as immoral for being romantically physical with a female. No, Rich, it's not wrong. Just kind of odd because the dude is like a solid 7 and I'm sure she's a nice person.
Oh, and by the way, David has another wheat dream. Ooh, what does it mean? Back at the philosophy club, the kids get together, and it turns out they found out failed abortion Chandler has a DWI and has dated like 9 girls in the past year, including, and I quote, "not all church types either, Sandra Bennett. Bennett, the campus prostitute." Now, I'm going to give Rich the benefit of the doubt here and assume he meant slut, because the alternative is that he believes secular colleges have designated pay-to-fuck girls. That night, there's a meeting of, I guess, Christian kids, and they're all talking to homeless Chandler about the upcoming debate, and he tells some cringy jokes. David A.R. White has the same idea as me and decides to leave before it turns into that scene from Eyes Wide Shut.
What the fuck? What scene?
Any of the fucky ones. The next day, the philosophy kids stop him on campus and do sort of a drive-by intimidation. Someone should tell this guy that his facial hair doesn't exactly scream intimidation as much as liberal arts hippie douche. Also, they mention they know he talked to that slutty slut, prostitute slut. We're almost halfway into the movie. Do you know what that means? Musical montage! Here, let me give you an idea of what... Like a thief in the night, like a thief in the night. Those are the actual main lyrics to this song. Like a thief
something about
in the night.
Jesus, right?
Yeah,
Jesus is coming back, but he can't be proved by logic. And that's literally the line. I'm not making that up. This is something about logic in there. I didn't write it down.
Post-montage Chandler, but it's like maybe a Chandler that really liked episode 1, is in the library, and one of his exes shows up to tell him the philosophy kids were asking about him. If you didn't like him before, you definitely shouldn't now after knowing he's been inside a ginger. Jess goes to ask David for some money for soda, which naturally parlays into David admitting he's too hard on Scott and should go apologize because it turns out he's just afraid of being embarrassed and that's what he's keeping from his debating himself, even though inside he feels like he should be doing more to spread the word of Christ. I bet Jess got a Surge Cola. You could still get those then.
And because he has no Surge Cola to look forward to, David goes to divorce Chandler and decides to help him. But when the fucker walks into the door, instead of assisting, he just yells at Chandler. The scene serves no purpose whatsoever. It's the dew claw of screenplays. That night, David has another dream about the ridiculously inefficient farmer. I'm convinced he has a fetish for fucking old men in wheat fields now. You know it's not gluten-free? David A.R. White's butthole.
Oh yeah, you wake up, David A.R. White. There's no way he doesn't have some cream of wheat in his pants. The night of the debate, the Milli Vanilli of Chandler's gets intimidated and goes to David saying he can't do it because of all the bitches he's been fucking and he got a DWI and stuff. So of course, David has to go tell the room that he can't make it.
And because drug-addicted Chandler decides that he can't do the debate at the very last second, it makes literally the last 25 minutes of this film entirely pointless.
Once he goes to make the announcement, this old woman starts goading him on to make him do the presentation instead of Chandler, and, gets the whole room to demand he do it in his place. Now, of course we know he knows about this shit because he's the main character and we've been following him for a while, but as an audience, are all these people idiots? Remember the Ken Ham-Bill Nye debate? If Bill Nye's plane was delayed, they wouldn't demand the MC take his place when he announces he can't make it. Are all these people retarded?
The next thing we get into is quite literally 30% of the film. It's David A.R. White standing in front of the people at the Philosophy Club and talking about how the end times are soon because of some guy 6,000 years ago and blah blah blah, you get it. About halfway through, people ask him for passages to back up his biblical claim, making David very reluctant. The camera pans over and zooms into his friend's face, whose name I forget, so let's call him Sir Buttchin Le 80s Hair, and he whispers into the camera, "I shit you not. Preach it, brother."
I swear, David's reasoning would make Glenn Beck think it's a little outlandish. The crux comes down to, through loose interpretation, it comes out to that each day of the 6-day creation is supposed to represent 1,000 years, so humanity from creation to rapture only has 6,000 years to live. Please, nobody let the ancient Mesopotamians know, they will be very upset. Of course, as you would expect, people start arguing with him, but as the speech goes on, you start getting these reaction shots of people with hands on their chins, like, maybe this fellow does have something going on. No, motherfucker, your arguments still have to be good. You can't just show reaction shots. Like, look at me, I can do the same thing. Have you ever considered that maybe the moon's made of cheese? Maybe we didn't land on the moon. Maybe Rich Cristiano is a lizard person. Makes you think, doesn't it?
No.
No, but there were reaction shots of people considering it, so it lends credence to what I said. Finally, after his overly long speech, the main philosophy guy gets up in his face and is like, "What? Do you think this is true? Huh?" Then there's a long pause, a quick shot of the dream farmer, and I swear he says, "I don't know. So why did you waste my fucking time, David A.R. White?"
That's a screenwriter going, "I don't want to come on too strong." Then why are you making a fucking Christian movie about the rapture, bro? Like, just own it. It's fine.
Finally, this actually made this movie worth it for me, because I get to talk about this finally. Someone brings up the fact that Christianity is one of many world religions, and David brings up the argument that I've been waiting to tackle for so long, but we haven't had an opportunity. He says that Christianity is unique in that it doesn't require works or rituals to get you into heaven. It requires divine grace and salvation. He then does...
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that.
I've heard that so many times, and in different mediums and stuff.
Sure.
I've wanted to say this for a while. Why the fuck would that matter? Because he doesn't go on to explain why that makes it more credible. He just says we're unique in that aspect as a religion. For one, no, you're not. There are other religions that deal in that as well. Secondly, what about that being the case makes it correct? If I have a religion and I say, oh, to get into heaven in my religion, you have to kill 7 puppy dogs and then eat the insides and then fuck a walrus. Like, no other religion makes you do that to get into heaven, but it doesn't make mine right just because I'm the only one that makes you do that. That doesn't make fucking sense. If anything, you're admitting, yeah, a lot of other religions think it's different, and we're the ones who are the outlier, but we're right. Why? Bible, no.
He goes on to talk this and that about things and stuff, and after dropping what I'm sure Rich Cristiano considered knowledge bombs, David goes to walk out of the room. Suddenly, he turns around and asks the philosophy guys if they could come up with another idea for eternity that offers as much hope as Christianity. As if the amount of hope held within the concept is somehow directly tied to how accurate that concept is. I haven't heard worse apologetics anywhere in my life, and I work on fucking YouTube.
David walks outside and starts to pray about how he didn't want to do that debate, but one of the kids comes running out and says they need him in there because people are converting to Christianity. Yeah, after a 20-minute speech by this guy, I'm sure I would change my entire worldview too. I mean, come on, he is the "Hey Scotty Jesus man" kid. On his way back in, David runs into the old woman who was hard on him earlier, and in Rich Cristiano's attempt at a Shyamalan moment, it turns out she was the wife of the guy who wrote the paper on the end of the world. Alright, that didn't really add anything of substance in and of itself to the story, but it got this lady one more IMDb credit before she died, so that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, what a poorly conceived story. I'm genuinely embarrassed for Rich Cristiano at this point. And I'm not fucking you. The old guy who is also her husband, that's the guy that he's been having sex dreams about this whole time in the field with the wheat and the gluten?
Oh god, this is getting too spooky for me, guys. We gotta end the review now. Alright, so that's the, that's whatever the fuck this was called, End of Harvest. Basically, again, like the end of Time Changer. At some point, because like Second Glance and some of the earlier ones, they're just about salvation, but sometime in the 90s, Rich Cristiano decided the end of the world was coming, like, right away for realsies, guys. So, like, all the movies from then on, after this movie, became about that. It's kind of weird, actually. Like, calm down. It's, like, this movie came out almost 20 years ago now. We're good. Chill out, Rich.
Yeah, it's fine. Chill. Also, like, if the world was going to end, like, 6,000 to 7,000 years into its creation, we wouldn't be here at all.
No, you really don't understand the time scale of the Earth. Like, it's not even like some sort of Big Bang argument at this point. Like, I don't have to go into science and explain why you're wrong. I'm just like, hey, look at this pot shard. It's older than that. Look at that civilization. That's older than that. Look at this this writing we found.
That's older than that. Look at the basis for the origins of your religion and the Code of Hammurabi and all that shit. That's older than that. Look at that tree. It's older than that.
Oh, remember that dildo that's older than that?
Yeah, I actually do remember that dildo that's older than that. I also remember a bunch of things that are older than that.
Anyway, thanks everyone. We're going to be doing these again, in the future and stuff. Right now, like we said, we're dealing with that strike, so you're probably watching the end of this over on the Quran Reloaded, which is cool. You should subscribe here because whenever this strike thing happens, we do the overflow over to this channel, right? So do that.
Yeah, this is like our bilge. But yeah, you should follow us on the Twitter machine at Bible Reloaded and follow Hugo Reloaded.
You can also subscribe. We did that backwards, but all right, subscribe to the channel. Any of them, and all of them.
And then you could also come over and join the Patreon and do our once a month Patreon only hangout. That's a lot of fun. And actually, some people were confused. They thought like you had to spend like a lot of money. No, it could be $1 a month as long as you clear $1 a month total. You'll have access to it. We look through to make sure everyone has a balance, and because some people try to scam us, which is garbage.
So until next time, I'm Hugo.
And I'm DMCA.
And this has been Bible Reloaded. Oh, YouTube, go fuck yourself.